Okay, so now that I have finished the rest of my back, I'm going to start my sleeves. And the sleeves start on a row 40 or a row 20, depending on your size, which is a TSS row. So I'm going to TSS all the way to the end of the row, and then I'm going to show you how to attach the yarn to create the sleeves. Okay, so here I have worked TSS to the end of the row, and I have cut my yarn after my end stitch, which is what you should do. Remember, this is your whole back, so it's going to be a lot wider than mine, okay? And then you're going to pick up your live yarn that you just cut off, and using the hook on your work, you're going to make a slip knot, and then you're going to chain for the sleeve. So the pattern gives you a certain number of chains that you need to make. And if you want to make the sleeves longer, you can just add more chains. But I do not recommend making them shorter than what the pattern calls for, because then your short rows are going to be a bit off, and that might be confusing more than helpful. All right. Okay, so there it is. All right, so here is my chain. I've done 2, 4, 6, 14, 16. I've done 16 on my chain. Again, yours will be a different number because you are actually working on the pattern, right? And then you are going to return pass. So for that, you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, including the chain loop and your end stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2 like a regular return pass from then on, all the way until the end of the row. Okay, so I am at the end of my return pass. I have return pass all of my stitches, and now I have a 1 loop on my hook. And from there, I'm going to continue to chain the same amount of chains that I did on my other sleeve. In this sample, I'm doing 16 because I'm doing a tiny sample. But for you, obviously, you want to chain as many as the pattern calls for, plus how many extras you made on the other side. Remember, you don't want the sleeves to be any shorter than they already are, but you can make them longer than what the pattern calls for. Okay, there you go. So I have all of my chains, and these are going to turn into the sleeves. Now, it is important that you place a marker on the first and last edge stitches of the back. So in this case, it's going to be this one. This is my first stitch, and this is my sleeves, all right? And then this one is going to be on this side, and this was the end stitch, and now it's going to be the edge stitch of my back. So these are going to determine where the lace of the back starts and ends, and the sleeves are only going to be TSS. So we're going to continue moving these markers as well as the center marker along as we work Tunisian simple stitch on the right sleeve, then lace on the back, increase when necessary, lace on the back, then Tunisian simple stitch on the left sleeve. And that's going to continue all the way up until our sleeves are finished and our back is finished, and then we're going to move on to the neckline and the front. So the sleeves are going to be Tunisian simple stitch, but we're also going to be working short rows on them. So I'm going to show you the first sleeve row just so that the pattern is established, and then I'm going to do a different video for the short rows so that you know how those work. Okay, so for the first row of the sleeves, you're going to work on the back bump of the chains. So in my case, I have 16 chains, so I should have 16 stitches at the end. Okay, I have my 16 stitches or loops pulled from my sleeve. When they are at this point, you should definitely check that you have the right amount of loops on your hook. And now I'm going to start with my first stitch of the back. And in this case, I continue using chart 3, which is the one that increases at the back. And depending on your size, you're either going to start from row 1 or row 11, or row 21, sorry. So for me, I'm going to start on row 1. And this first marked stitch is going to make up for the first loop of my row, like before. So that's the yellow stitch on your table. Just continue following the pattern of your back chart 3 until the end of the back, and then I'll show you how to work the other sleeve. Okay, so I am on the last stitch, on the end stitch before, but now it's the last stitch of my back, which is the one with the marker. And this is a loose stitch, okay, because that yarn was just cut there. So you're gonna wanna make sure that loop doesn't get lost, okay? But it won't happen very easily. All right, so now that I've worked my first sleeve, then my back, and now I'm on to my next sleeve. So I'm just going to pick up loops from the back of the chains. So we're working on the back bumps on the chains, and we're gonna pick up stitches or pick up loops from each one of the chains until the end. Okay, so I've picked up my stitches, and just like before, you want to make sure you count them and that you have the right amount of stitches on the left sleeve as on the right sleeve. And after that, you're going to return pass all the way to the end, and then you are going to continue working your back and your short rows on the sleeves and the sleeve. So I'm going to show you how to do short rows with Tunisian simple stitch. I have other videos where you can see that, but hopefully the next video is going to be helpful for you to work these specific short rows and continue on like that.